Hello students, now let's talk about the genetic code. Look, listen and learn. So what you're looking here basically is a strand of mRNA. You have seen this strand in the previous module. Now remember, on the mRNA you have a set of 3 nitrogen bases. And what are these bases called? You guessed it right, these 3 bases are called as a codon. And there are several series of codon arranged end to end. And this entire thing is called as nothing but the mRNA language. mRNA language is also called as cryptogram. And this is what is exactly called as the genetic code. Is that okay? Now remember, a codon basically is a sequence of 3 nucleotides, or it contains 3 nitrogen bases on the mRNA. Okay, now this idea was put forward by and suggested by a scientist called George Gamow in the year 1954. The direct evidence of this was provided by another person, Francis Crick, in the year 1961. Is that okay? Now, let us see why a codon has got 3 bases and not 1 or 2 bases. So, let's see how this was decided. Now you know that number of amino acids that are present in our body is how many? You guessed it right, it is 20, right? And you also know that one amino acid then gets coded by one specific codon at least. Yes, we know this also. So there should be at least 20 codons. That's right. Okay. Now the number of bases in a genetic code is how many? 4, and they are A, U, G, and C. So let us see the situations here. Now imagine if the codon was made up of only 1 base. Then how many possible codons would you have? It will be 4 raised to 1, which is only 4. This is not enough to code for 20 different amino acids. So 1 base, 1 codon, not possible. Let us see the next scenario. Now the next scenario is if each codon had 2 bases. Then how many codons would be possible? 4 square or 16. Once again, it is not enough to code for 20 different amino acids. So 1 codon can also not be 2 bases. Finally, if 1 codon was 3 bases, then what would you get? Number of codons would be 4 cubed, which is 64. And 64 is more than enough to code for 20 different amino acids. And that is why Gamow suggested that 1 codon basically is made up of 3 bases, and not 1 and not 2. Moving on, the entire genetic code was deciphered or cracked by 3 scientists. Who were they? They were Marshall Nirenberg, Heinrich Matthaei, and our very own Hargobind Khorana. How did they go about doing it? How did they decide which codon codes for which amino acid? Let us see. So they basically used cell-free systems, which means they did their experiments in a test tube. So what they would do is they would take a mixture in a test tube which had everything you needed for protein synthesis except messenger RNA. To this they would add a messenger RNA and they would call it as artificial messenger RNA. Now look at this mRNA. You see it has same bases all throughout. So I'm going to call this as a homopolymer. Now because it has same bases throughout, every 3 base is going to code for the same amino acid. Does that make sense? So that is how they decided that this combination of 3 bases makes 1 amino acid, because the protein they would get here would show only 1 type or a single type of amino acid. In the next situation, what they did was they again took a mixture with everything required for protein synthesis except mRNA. And now they added another molecule of artificial mRNA. Now look at this molecule. You see how it has 2 different type of bases? Yes? So once again, the first 3 base, this is called as the heteropolymer. Okay? Now once again, what will happen is the 3 bases is going to code for a specific amino acid. 1 amino acid, second one is a different amino acid, and third one is the same amino acid as the first one. So what they actually got here is a protein that contains 2 types of amino acid. In this way, they went on and they decided that which codon codes for which amino acid. Is that okay? Moving on, for this finding, right, Mr. Khorana, right, in the year 1968 won a Nobel Prize, and he shared this Nobel Prize with two more people, Nirenberg and Hawley. Is that okay? So in this module, we have talked about the genetic code. In the next module, we will see which codon codes for which specific amino acid in the genetic code table. Thank you and take care.
नीचे नहीं